I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the haunted Weatherly Cemetery urban legend. There was a church, St. Joseph's Church, that apparently sat at the edge of the cemetery. Now, I really don't see any traces of it now, but apparently there was a church there. And for whatever odd reason, the congregation fled the church in 1875, basically leaving the cemetery to fend for itself. Then in 1966, the church itself actually burned down. I don't know if it was arson or if it was maybe, a natural fire. Possibly, something to do with maybe hot weather. Maybe someone was trying to fix it up. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of information in regards to the church itself. The Catholic Church does not upkeep the cemetery. The Knights of Columbus do. As a matter of fact, the video I did last night when I was there briefly, Alex noticed that some high grass had been cleared out, but only so far. What is interesting about the Weatherly Cemetery urban legend surrounding it is that there's just like so many different things and experiences that people have had over the years. They talk about a white horse running around sometimes. Well, I've seen a black horse that I swear to this day followed the car I was in when I was 16. They talk about a ghost car. I've been told it's a hearse, a dark hearse. Because back in the day also, it was more common for deceased people to be taken to a funeral parlor in a hearse. Nowadays, that's not so common. A coroner's office, if they suspect foul play, will show up, but more often than not, it's an ambulance that will actually transport a person's body to, I guess, a hospital. And then I do believe like some vehicle, I guess from a funeral parlor, picks the body up. But back in the day, it was strictly the job of a hearse to take a deceased person to wherever they were going to be prepped for burial. Children singing and laughing. I did detect children's voices coming through on the Spirit app. Let me know in the comments section if you hear what sounds like children's voices, because I sure did. That is actually interesting. There is children buried there. As a matter of fact, at one point, I didn't even realize when I shined my light over, I seen the little lambs over from my right. Two of them actually side by side, and I realized, oh good Lord, I never really paid attention, but there are children buried in that cemetery. Having mechanical issues trying to leave the cemetery, that did happen to me when I was at Friends when I was 16. Now, it seems to be hit or miss with this cemetery. There are times I was there, nothing. Not a spooky feeling, not a shadow, not a sound, just like nothing. And then there's other times that, like last night, the blackness is so thick that you could just cut it with a knife. I was really surprised how black it actually gets there in the fall. I've never actually gone there in the fall, I've only ever been there in like the summer. So it is, you know, a bit unique in that it seems to depend on perhaps the time of the month, day of the week, time of the evening. I don't know. Do I believe that there is some truth to it? I'm sure there is. Perhaps the deceased don't like being abandoned and forgotten. Now, Alex said something to me interesting last night about demons. There's some people believe that demons roam the woods. Like, as you go into the cemetery, you go up the path, there's woods here, woods back here, and the cemetery is basically spread out this way, and it goes farther back. Now, I'm wondering if someone took the legends about, you know, Indian land, and somehow that got changed up to be, you know, demonic in some way, shape, or form. Because Pennsylvania, there's a lot of areas in Pennsylvania that were Native American land. You can look at so many towns in Pennsylvania have Native American names and waterways and things, and you could just tell that Native Americans were settled in this state, in different parts of this state at one time. So I am wondering if perhaps maybe some Native American legends got twisted into demons. I don't know, but there is a legend, I guess, that there's demons or something with red eyes that watches from the woods. So when it came over the Spirit app about eyes watching, Alex just, you know, said, like, you know, thank you, goodbye, and I thanked the spirits. I didn't understand why he was just very uncomfortable, and he, you know, him and Sandy told me about this belief that there's demons watch from the woods, which I never heard of. Never. There's also the legend of the Witch's Mound, which is farther back in the actual woods. And according to this, a descendant, I believe she was, of the founders of Weatherly, is buried there. Supposedly she was a witch, and she could not be buried in consecrated ground. There is a mound, actually, in the woods. It's rather big. I don't think anybody has ever used any kind of, like, equipment to actually determine if, in fact, anyone is buried there. That would actually be quite interesting. There's also the hanging tree. Supposedly that is where the witch was killed. She was hung in the hanging tree and then buried farther back in the woods in the mound. There's also not so much a part of the Weatherly Cemetery, but somewhat connected with the spookiness of it, I'm not exactly sure how, is the stone couch. And the stone couch legend goes that if you sit on it once, something bad will happen to you. You will have some type of bad luck. Sit on it twice and someone you know will die. Sit on it 3 times and you will die. Well, I'm not a superstitious person, but I do have my superstitions about the stone couch, and I will tell you why. Because years ago, as a teenager, I sat on the stone couch twice, different times in my life. I believe I was like 15 when I sat on it the first time. I don't really know if I had any bad luck. I don't remember. But the second time I sat on it was about a month before my 18th birthday. And the irony with that was that I got into an accident on the Tom Hicken Road the night of my 18th birthday. And the last thing I remember before waking up under a dashboard was seeing a really bad car accident and thinking to myself, oh my God, nobody could survive that. Well, hours later, when I was in the hospital getting my ribs x-rayed, I just heard people talking, and I got my hands on a copy of the newspaper and seen where a friend of mine that I had literally seen maybe about 3 weeks prior, she had given me this hilarious, little bit dirty Christmas card. She was carrying them in her coat, passing them out to people. Here she passed away in that car accident, and everybody else went on to survive. So, yeah, that really kind of creeped me out. Plus the fact that it was the same night, hours apart, it was the same road, just different locations on the road. So I have never attempted fate about that, believe me. So I will be including a picture of the stone couch and where the stone couch is actually located. There is an urban legend that a lady was being chased by Indians and that she smothered her child, trying to keep it quiet so the Indians wouldn't find her. Another legend says that she bashed the baby's head against a stone. I don't know. But either way, that's another urban legend, ties in just a little bit with Weatherly Cemetery, although they are a little bit of a distance from each other, their location. In what is considered by many to be a haunted cemetery. I am talking about the old Weatherly Cemetery here in Weatherly, Pennsylvania. And if you are a local subscriber, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have probably been there, and you may even have some cool stories to tell. Now, I have found from the several times that I have been in the cemetery over the years that seeing things or hearing things is sometimes hit or miss. I have been here at one night where car would not start. We thought we seen a black horse behind us. We've seen shadow figures come into the woods with lanterns that literally just disappeared. It was really, really unusual. And then several summers ago I was here and there was absolutely nothing unusual happened. So I don't know if it depends on the day of the week or any particular time.
The moon cycle?
Yes, it could have something to do with the moon. I really don't know. So I am using Ronnie's spotlight here because, to be honest, it is just that dark. And I was brought out here by Alex and Sandy because Ronnie actually couldn't come. He is getting ready for his first night at work. So I wanted to go poking around, showing you a few old tombs, but what I really wanted to do was, first time ever, use the spirit box, the necrophonic app, because I wanted to see if, in fact, you know, I really could actually get in touch with anyone from here. So I don't want to go traipsing around here too much. It is dark, and even with the light, I mean, you know, it's also kind of cold tonight. So come along for a spooky walk. As you can see, this is a veteran's tombstone. There is one right here buried under the leaves. Now that I will feel so bad about walking on top of someone's grave. I certainly do not want to do that. Yes, I mean you no disrespect, and I mean you no harm. There is an interesting little bit of history with this cemetery, which actually I will cover before the intro. I will tell you about it, and I will actually also include a few links to some older videos that were here on YouTube, and they were taken during the day. Most of them were day to dusk, and pretty much just folks that pretty much just wanted to do a little primitive ghost hunting back early 2000s. Yeah, now see, with both of the lights, this definitely better. Yeah, it's trying to focus on something, and yeah, eerily quiet. Very eerily quiet.
We're not by the hanging tree, are we?
Oh gosh, I hope not.
No, we're not far enough in.
Yeah, I don't want to really go that far in, to be honest. In the event, if anything, sort of, look at, was that knocked over?
Probably.
Good God, you know, people just have no damn respect.
I can't even put that up there if I wanted to.
Oh my gosh, no.